Hey guys, it's Vince. Today in this video we're going to be discussing a problem that's plagued CNC micromanufacturing since its inception, and that is utilizing wood routers that you'd find at typical big box stores like Lowe's or Home Depot for CNC robotic applications. Now, many of you have already reviewed some of my previous videos where I cover why using these type of spindles is not the best practice. However, I still have past clients and potential clients coming to me in reference to using these type of spindles because, again, they're much cheaper than going, the imported rate of actually importing a spindle from China and dealing with the VFD and all the accessories that go with it. So they are still really popular. Lots of vendors are still manufacturing machines that encompass these type of spindles. So with that being said, I wanted to make a more diversified market for you guys to have the availability to use these type of spindles if that's all your budget could afford, but do it the proper way to make them adaptable to CNC robotics use. That being said, what I wanted to do was show you guys what makes these units not acceptable for CNC use. And this is just a power cable off one of these Porter cables, and they're both Porter cables, 690LR units. They're rated at 1 3/4 horse. And these just represent the typical outlook of a wood-based router that you'd find at virtually any big box store. Porter cable is a great name. There's Bosch, there's Makita, Milwaukee. There's tons of these type of routers. They're all over the place. But if you break them down, they all are going to suffer from the same type of cabling. You can see this is just a general 3-lead cable. I believe it's 16 gauge. It is rated, it's got a casing that's rated to 300 volts, 60 degrees Celsius temperature rating, which is give or take about 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, cable is super flexible. Under general applicational use, this cable is fine, as a hand tool. When you start incorporating this kind of cabling, when you're dealing with 11 amps of draw, which is what these units claim to draw under full amp load, you're dealing with large amounts of EMI. And I've discussed this before. When you guys are looking at your spindle and you're actually looking at attaching your spindle to your actual chassis, the thing to keep in mind here is that these bodies on these spindles are metal and your chassis is metal. So regardless of what spindle you're using, whether you're using one imported from China, which again, and I'm going to cover that real quick, guys, just to touch base on that, 98% of all spindles are made in China. Okay, I don't care if it's a Delta, I don't care if it's an HY, whatever it is, they're mostly made in China. The higher end ones all are ISO 9001 certified, and again, they come with higher quality bearings, preferably ABEC rated number 7. That being said, I don't care if it's that type of spindle, a true machining spindle, or if it's a wood-based router spindle. When you connect these units to your chassis and they are metal bodied, they are basically becoming a conductor to that chassis and working as an antenna when mounted to the chassis. And when that happens, all of the EMI that is generated by these units because of their large amp draw is basically radiating out from that chassis. Okay? The only way to eliminate, or I should say reduce drastically, the EMI presentation available is to use proper cabling. So what I decided to do is, I know that there's always going to be the requirement to still use these with CNC robotics, mainly because of their price, their simplicity. A lot of guys are just starting out and they want to get their feet wet, but they can't afford to do all of the equipment at once. So what I decided to do is incorporate a kit to actually convert these units into CNC applicable units. And what I want to show you here, and I'm going to pan the camera in because I have them both disassembled right now at the top cover to show you exactly what's going on. Now this is the stock unit. This unit was purchased from my local Lowe's. Okay, same thing you would go through and actually do yourself. And you can see what's going on inside here. I mean, they're really simple. You can see we've got a crimp connector. It looks like they crimped it here. You've got one single ground. You've got your rubber boot for protecting your actual power cable. And then inside here, you can see we've got our standard 90-degree fasten connector. I mean, nothing major here going on. And again, you have the same fasten connector right here. Again, they did this to make it so that, of course, the power cable can be replaced if required. One of the things I want to show you about using these spindles that is really good to see for everybody, because a lot of guys don't even know that this actually happens. Let me get a light here so I can shine it in there. When you look inside there and you see just how much room and clearance you actually have from the armature of the motor of going in there, I mean, you are really close in there. Your tolerances are pretty tight. Manufacturer used a zip tie. Let me see if I can get that light on. You can see the manufacturer used a zip tie right there to keep everything nice and tidy. But overall, there are no solder connections here. You can see everything here is done quick and dirty just to get the wires attached. A lot of guys are okay with that. The problem is with CNC use, this already with this connector, you're already creating extra resistance because again, you're not using soldering. Over here you have a single ground, and again, for general home use, this is fine. This is okay. You know, you're going to get away with this. Many guys use this and they're fine with that. As soon as you attach this to your chassis, and 98% of you using a metal chassis, you are going to find you're going to have issues, and those issues are going to radiate typically from EMI penetration from these spindles. They generate mass amounts of them. So what I want to show you now is one that I did a full conversion on, and again utilizing the kit that I'm about to offer, and I'm going to show you right now. Let me just get this screw in here. Okay, and we'll move this over here, get this out of the way. Here's one that's been fully converted. Once again, screws are all there. Everything is the same. Now let's go over the conversion. First of all, there is no more actual crimp connector. You can see that that's been replaced, soldered properly, heat shrunk. You also see now two grounds. Okay. Now what you're actually seeing is a shield ground based here with the actual clip. We have a circle clip underneath this terminal. You can see our ground symbol. And underneath this terminal, you now have a ground for your actual shielding and the typical ground coming from your wall outlet. Now, of course, 98% of all homes' wall outlets are earth ground, so you're going to be fine with that. Again, you only have one ground at one end from that, which again would be from your shielding and that, and you're fine. You're not grounding on both ends, and that's the big thing we don't want to have happen. So when I say that, because I get guys that ask me that all the time, you always want to ground your shielding on one end. You would not be grounding it, let's say on the chassis end here, we want to ground one point only, and that's fine. What you see inside here, and this is where this kit really has to be redone as far as what you saw on the previous model, is that all heat shrink and insulation was used properly here. And what I actually did was I had to use 90-degree connectors, so you will be getting fastening connectors in the 90-degree format so everything clears. On top of that, you can see that we're using a liquid silicone based insulator here. The reason I'm using a liquid insulator here is because if I do not use that here, you cannot heat shrink this properly and properly insulate these connectors. Now, many of you guys have gone through and purchased systems, and whether they're used, new, whatever it may be, and they have bare connectors, and it's very, very typical. It's just like you see in here with that hot lead coming on the switch. It's a bare connector and they only grounded, or excuse me, they only insulated the one on the opposite end of that, which again, it's just speed for them more than anything else. They're trying to get the job done and get the product out the door. That is not best practice. Best practice is take the time, do it right, don't cut corners and half-ass it, and make sure you insulate both connectors. There's no point in starting a fire or possible arcing that can occur. Some guys laugh at that, some guys don't. I'm Mr. Safe than sorry. That's just the way I look at things. So that being said, that brings me to one of my new products. It's called Ed 704, and that is a new silicone-based product that I came out with. It's electrical silicone. Its rating right now is -76°F to 482. This product is ISO 9001 certified. It is an amazing product. It does come with a precision applicator tip. I'm going to have this listed in my store shortly. If you need to insulate, if you need to waterproof, whatever you need to do with your connectors, many of you have already looked at Dow Corning and DuPont and all the other ones that are available for electrical insulators. They're just really high priced, and realistically, you want something that is not going to be too high a price, but you definitely need something to incorporate it for connections like this so that you can insulate them easily and still get the effect that you want with a professional finish. Now, I do have some components here that reflect how that product actually works. You can see right here, here's a bare connector, and then here's a connector that has been insulated with the liquid insulation. The viscosity on that, it flattens out really nice. You use a little drop and you're good to go. That package right there is 1.7 ounces, and I can tell you guys right now, you're going to use a very, very small amount. I even have a breakout board here I did this morning, and you can see I put just a nice bead on there. And if you're insulating or you want any type of moisture proofing, if you have electrical enclosure, you want moisture proofing, this stuff is amazing. It can totally be removed as well. Another great application is filling screw threads. Okay, if you want a really tight, similar to Loctite, except that this stuff can come off a lot easier than Loctite, and again, you're eliminating carrying multitudes of products. This stuff works amazing. I mean, it's super flexible, waterproof, does not crack, does not age, it's non-toxic, and that was one of my biggest things. I wanted it not to be toxic because I know many of you may have children that, again, are in your shop, you don't know who's touching stuff, and you want to make sure that everything is as user-friendly as possible. And like I said, when it comes to dealing with connectors that come pre-soldered from the factory that are not properly insulated, this stuff will save you tons of time. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you had to heat shrink and remove everything, what a pain in the ass it would be. This is the stuff to use. That being said, like I said, 1.7 ounces, super easy to use. This will be in my store shortly. I am including it in this updated kit. You'll be getting a full tube just like this so that you guys can use this whenever you're doing your update. And the other factor is, and I can't emphasize this enough, wait till you see this. Inside here, you can definitely see where I actually used, I'm going to see if I can get the camera in there so you can see what I actually did here, and the light. You can see where I had to actually insulate everything here, make sure everything is properly joined, heat shrunk, and you can see the wire tie once again, just like factory. This is absolutely perfect here. You still have got plenty of clearance, and again, no corners have been cut, and you've now been upgraded to my new spindle cable, which many of you have already been experiencing. It's my new 16.4 double shielded, and that is what's being used here. And the beauty of that, it does work perfectly well with the silicone wire cable actual protector that they give that comes pre-stock mounted on these type of spindles. So you can see it slips right through. The difference in the cabling, and I can't emphasize this enough, let me just get the stock cable here. Here's your stock cable, and you can see that, and then here's my cable. It's a night and day difference. I mean, when you look at the connectors, this is a Levitron plug. Once again, you got a moisture seal on this plug. The plug is super simple to use because it does have screw leads. This one's locked up, but if you go through my previous videos, you will see. You can see the Levitron name there. This is an industrial rated plug, guys. This is the stock plug that comes with the unit. Okay, night and day difference. You look at those two, and you can see I mean, they're totally different. Once again, for stock use, this is fine. This cable will get you from point A to point B just fine. When you're dealing with CNC use, you don't want to use anything but this. Okay, this kit will come complete with my 16.4 double shielded cable. Okay, once again, insulated 600 volt, 105 degrees Celsius temperature rating. This cable is the real deal. If you guys have questions on the cable, please, I don't want to get it too redundant, but you can review the videos. I'm using this all with, whether you're using a pro-grade machining spindle, whether it's imported from US, whatever it is, this is the cable to use to reduce EMI to virtually nothing. Again, it is double shielded to give you as close to a bulletproof system as we can get. That's what we're shooting for. This kit will come with a 20-foot version of this so that you'll have plenty of room to pretty much maneuver virtually anything. However, if you do require a longer cable, just let me know. I custom cut these now. You're not limited to buying any specific size. I know every system is different. There's nothing that's cookie cutter. You let me know and I can custom cut it right directly for your application. But I wanted to show you guys the absolute difference here, because when we look at this, when we go from stock to this and to this, and then come over here and look at this, it's night and day. Okay, this did take me a little time to do because, again, you're dealing with tight tolerances here. You have to get everything in here, skin everything. A lot of guys, you know, a lot of companies, I should say, are looking at this, and they're not going to spend that kind of time to their application. They don't have to. You guys have to spend that kind of time, because if you don't, it bites you in the ass later on. And believe me, when it does that, it's costing you time and money. Okay, this system now is done properly. You'll plug this into your chassis and you're good to go. Okay, I cannot emphasize that enough. This is done in a way that I know you would never have problems with. The EMI is reduced drastically, and that's exactly what we want. We want to have that EMI as low to non-existent as possible. Okay, no resistance here. You can see over here, this looks like it was just thrown together. I mean, in my eyes, for them to put another insulated piece on the hotline, that would have been nothing for them to do. I mean, but again, I know time is money with these companies. I'm not beating them down. I know that they're not the only ones. I know all the other brands out there are very similar. That being said, the connectors that you will be getting with this actual kit, they will be fastened. I will incorporate the 90-degree connectors. If you need straight connectors, you can message me and let me know exactly what connectors you need. Send me some pictures. I'll do my best to accommodate you because there are so many different variables when doing these kits. However, I wanted to include everything. You will be getting heat shrink with this. You will be getting, of course, Ed 704. Again, I'm really proud of this product. I know it's super, it just works so well. It dries extremely quickly. You're looking probably between 3 and 30 minutes on general use, especially for small stuff like this. When you're dealing with, you know, deep use like this, when we're actually laying, you know, a heavy coat down similar to potting, you're more or less looking, again, maybe 2 hours maximum, maybe, and like I said, even more if you're, depending upon what layer thickness you're putting down. I mean, common sense goes a long way. It's no different than putting coats of paint on. So when you see something like this, but you want to insulate, you want to do it easily, especially if you guys are out there doing electronics, you're doing any type of actual soldering on boards with components, and you want to stabilize from shock and moisture, this stuff is awesome. And again, I'm trying to offer it at a price that is well beneath what you'd pay from Dow Corning or DuPont, and the stuff is amazing. I mean, it just really works well. So I was waiting for this to come in for quite some time because, again, doing the design on it, getting the chemistry right, making sure it fits every application that I'm looking for, especially with the heat rating. I mean, you're going up to 500 degrees, guys. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, you're talking about a product that literally will cover virtually anything we do with electronics, and that's what I'm looking at, you know, something that makes it usable to keep in your toolbox, and not just for, you know, these type of applications, but whatever else on top of what you're going to be using here. Like I said, general heat shrink will be included, and we'll also be including, you know, the silicone wire, which again you can't even see here, the little details that count for extreme flexibility, because if you don't use silicone wire here, now here this wire's tension is nothing. This wire over here is bending almost 90 degrees. You need maximum flexibility. I use silicone wire. It takes a ton of heat. The casing on it, the rating is much higher than standard wire, on top of it being super flexible and easy to work with, and that is a must when you're dealing in tight constraints like this. And like I said, when you come inside here, and you can see, let me just get that light again, and you can see in here, when you come inside there and you see how tight your tolerances is, especially right here, I mean, we're only looking maybe at a ½ an inch clearance. And when this sucker turns on and you're turning, you know, 20, 30,000 RPM, that's really tight, and a little bit of vibration can do a lot of weird things. So you definitely want to make sure you take your time. Again, a 50-pound wire tie used there, using the proper insulation there, and again, you're golden. I mean, it's the same setup that they have on the stock, but the difference is now you guys that are incorporating these on your CNC, you're good to go, and that's the big thing. So once again, safety, of course, is always important. Your insulation is covered. Your switch is now all fully soldered. Again, these connectors here, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, these connectors are crimped on, by the way. These are soldered on. Okay, and when I say soldered on, just the fasten part to the actual lead itself. They are not soldered onto the switch. So God forbid you ever had to change the cable, you'd still be able to do that. However, these are actually soldered on to reduce resistance, as they should be. Okay, more time, yes, more frustration possibly, but you know it's done right. And again, that is the most important part. So once again, I hope that this video has been extremely helpful. And that being said, and you guys follow me through the end, I've been telling you guys in previous videos, let me just set this camera down and get everything set up. I've been telling you in previous videos that I was going to have a spindle giveaway. Well, anything I do from now on that I have no use for, and I know many of you do, and all my followers out there I totally appreciate, you know, we're growing, like I said, leaps and bounds. This spindle I'm giving away. Okay, the one that I did, it's completely brand new. Matter of fact, I have the box right there. All you have to do is like the video and subscribe. That's all I ask, and I'm going to give this spindle away. Okay, if one of you have a system that will use this, Again, I mean, it is brand spanking new. Absolutely brand new. For anybody doing woodworking, light aluminum work, this unit will work fine. And again, if it helps you, that's what matters. You know, if I can give that back to you guys, get you started in your business model, that's what makes sense. But now, for the majority of you out there that are working with this type of equipment, you guys now know the difference between stock to doing it right. And there is a huge amount of difference. I mean, like I said, when you look at the cable and you look at everything that's been done, this will perform the way it should with your CNC. You'll notice it in the stability of the unit, less overall problems with repeatability, any types of missteps, any type of glitching as far as go switching and stuff where switches go off by themselves, you're not triggering them. Take your time, guys, and do it right. You need all the right products, whether it be proper silicone, okay? You're also going to need heat shrink, you're going to need your connectors, you need everything. And that's why I say it gets pricey, it gets tedious, and that's why I'm trying to put together these kits to take everything I know and put it in a professional package that will give you the same result that I offer for my clients, except you guys do the labor, you save the time, you save the money, and you teach yourself something, and that's what we're here to do. I want to empower you. I want you guys to become self-sufficient to where, yeah, you can ask questions, and yes, I can help you in any way, shape, and form that I can possess that knowledge to do, but you guys have to take it upon yourselves to really understand this equipment and what it's doing and what to look for as far as, like I always say, spotting the knot so that your equipment's always running top-notch. You know, when you have a client that's expecting a part, the worst thing that can happen is you have problems at that point, because that's always the point that it happens at. And when it does, then you're SOL and you're calling around and you're scrambling and you're doing everything you can, and that is the worst feeling in the world. Do it right the first time. Make sure everything is correct with your system. Take your time. Like I tell you always, details. It's all details. The littlest things matter. You know, I was talking to Rick the other night. I did the video on Rick. I actually discussed him in my last video, and Rick was telling me he's having some issues, weird things happening, and it was his keyboard that was actually causing the issue. Okay? When I hear stuff like this, I learn stuff because I don't know everything. I mean, I hope you guys know that. I work with this stuff on an everyday basis, but I'm always learning, just like you are. And when I hear stuff like that, it blows my mind, because it's like I would have never thought a keyboard would affect, you know, the system at that regard, but it was. He changed keyboard, all of a sudden things started acting normal again. Weird things happen, guys. That's why I say keep notes, be detail oriented. Pilots always have checklists. I myself, I've always flown RC, and I'm a really advocate towards radio control flight and full scale flight, and pilots always use checklists. If you're using a checklist with your CNC, you really can't go wrong. You'll always have a point of reference to go through and double check anything that gives you issues. So that's why I say eliminate the problems before they become one, and it'll save you the time and the money that you're really looking at starting in the right spot. And I can't emphasize that enough. Take your time, don't rush the system, let it come together the right way where you digest everything and really understand it, and go from there. You know, even if it takes you an extra week, it's worth that. And I can't emphasize that enough. Take your time, there's no rush, make sure the things are done right. This took me to do this conversion. I just want to say that because a lot of guys, you know, when I do stuff, it takes me sometimes an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm just like you. You know, you guys, a lot of you guys have a lot of you guys probably have better skills than me. I mean, I work with this all the time, but I don't work with everything all the time. So, I mean, if you're doing something like this and you're converting one of these over, take your time, you know, do it right, insulate everything, use heat shrink. The parts that I give you in the kit, and this I can't emphasize enough, I've seen people purchase my kits before and only use certain parts. The reason I'm giving you everything is so that you can get the professional quality you're after. You don't have to use everything, because of course I'm not there to delegate what you use, but use common sense. You know, I'm giving it to you not as a gimmick. I'm giving it to you so that you do it right, and you know that you're, number one, safe, and number two, you're going to have the professional quality you're after. Or at least I'm hoping that's who I'm talking to with my subscribers are after. You know, this isn't a hobby to me. I mean, I'm not converting the, I mean, what you see here is over $300 in equipment. I'm not buying this just to do a video and then giving one away. I want you guys to understand where we're going with this. Everybody that's invested in this or involved in CNC, we are making that transition into this field. This is actually where actual modern technology is going. There isn't going to be, I predict in the next probably 10 to 15 years, you'll start seeing machine shops tapering down. They're already tapering down in my area. I don't know where you guys live, but I can tell you right now, I'm seeing it every day. Every day within a 30-mile radius, machine shop work, different machines are being used for that reason. So take your time, do it right, like and subscribe. I want our database to keep growing. I want the subscribers to keep growing. I want you guys to keep getting good knowledge. If you want this spindle, all I ask is that you like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. Let me know you want the spindle. I'm going to pick somebody. If you have a chassis that you need the spindle for, hell, shoot me a picture of the chassis. And like I said, within the next week or so, I'll pick someone on the channel. We'll do a video on it, and you'll be getting this free. If you live internationally, I'll give it to you too. I mean, anyone who's international, you guys can't help where you live. Again, this unit's brand new. If it'll help you out, it'll help you out. And once again, you're getting at least this part of your system is dead nuts on, and that's what's important. We take our time, we learn together, and we grow together. I can't emphasize that enough. I want to be successful with you. We are going to do it together, and that's what we're doing. So again, I thank you all for listening and watching. If you do have any questions, and I know some of you are going to have questions, please message me at storm, STORM, 2313@gmail.com. You guys know the routine. It'll be under the description. You can also contact me direct through my eDealers Direct store. And again, I'll put that link in the description as well. And again, like, subscribe, let me know if you want it. And you guys now understand the difference when it comes to using wood routers on top of the noise. I mean, you guys, most of you already know that, so I won't cover that. But again, there's a difference in noise from going from a true machining spindle to one of these. But overall, you've got all the knowledge you need now. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching.